Welcome to YMB Live. So glad to have everybody on the video stream right now. Welcome. There's an audio stream too, but I'm guessing most people are watching on YouTube. We're about to cover this week's Bitcoin headlines. We are the Yumi and BTC podcast, if somehow you don't know that. I'm Daniel Brown, and I'm here with my homies.
Tim Baker. Am I the homie, or is that John?
I said homies plural.
Oh, okay. That's right.
And
John Stuart.
all right. Glad to have everybody. We got some interesting stuff lined up for today. But as always, we invite you to join us as part of the show. There's a couple ways you can do that. Well, first, just by watching or listening, that's huge. And seriously, thanks for being here. If you get to umian.com/live, that's where you can do it. You can watch and listen there. I know you can also watch on Twitter if somebody embeds the video. And we're on Liberty Me too, so welcome to anybody from there. I will say I was super late on getting the show up there. I was just super busy and didn't even get the show listed on Liberty Me until this morning, like half an hour ago. So apologies for that, but welcome anyway. And I guess we'll go through there the podcast and everything too. So this is crazy. We're pretty much worldwide right now, which actually isn't even a joke.
Famous, obviously.
Anyway, point is, umianbtc.com/live. Here's what you can do there. You can watch, listen, and tweet. That's the most important thing for you listeners. If you want to reach us, send a tweet to @umianbtc. There we go, with the hashtag YMBLive. I'm pointing correctly. I'm getting used to this, I think. @umianbtc, hashtag YMBLive. There's a button right on the page there that you can click, and it'll fill in that stuff for you. So definitely do that. Send us a question. We can answer it. Send us a comment. Last week, somebody was delighted to share the comment Satoshi Penis with us, and that was awesome. I mean, we'll take it. And a question, a comment, or a headline. That's what we're here for, to cover headlines. So if you want to send us a link that you want us to cover, just send it our way. Twitter's the best way, and we will cover that. And the last thing you can do on our page, umianbtc.com/live, is vote. I just put up our poll. We're not going to cover it too in-depth right away, but I will just touch on the fact that Bitcoin has been pretty, relatively stable for quite some time. So we're going to talk about that, how long it might stay stable, and that's the question. I want to ask how long you guys think it can stay stable. I mean, I know that predictions, especially in the Bitcoin space, are often a joke. I mean, they turn into who knows what. But they're fun anyway, just talk about it. It's a good way to discuss what's going on now by explaining what you think could happen. So we'll have fun with that. Tell us if you think it could stay relatively stable for a month, or 3 months, 6 months, I don't know, a year, whatever. So get over there, umianbt.com/live, and vote. And also, before we get started, I definitely want to thank Genitrust yet again. There we go. I'm getting this pointing thing down. Genitrust, the makers of Wall of Coins. I still use them every day. I love using Wall of Coins to buy and sell Bitcoin with or for cash. So it's an awesome place. And Genitrust's goal is just to find problems with Bitcoin, difficult areas, solve them, and that's why they created Wall of Coins, because one of the problems they saw was it's just tough to buy and sell quickly, especially for cash, available immediately, stuff like that. So thanks, we can't thank them enough for sponsoring us. We love to have them. So we are going to get to our first Bitcoin headline, and I'm going to turn things over to Tim for that, and we're going to talk about Ecuador. What the heck is going on in Ecuador?
Well, Ecuador set up their own cryptocurrency because obviously what you want to do whenever you take something decentralized and kind of broken up and spread out is you want to make it directly connected to a national currency and national bank, and also have every single person, every transaction they ever do, have it directly linked to their personhood. And it's not much to ask to save us from the evils of tax evasion and the apparent loads of money that are going into terrorism through cryptocurrency too. I mean, it's a big problem. So Ecuador decided to do something about that. And I guess I don't really remember this, but they say the article's from Bitcoinist.net. In July 2014, the National Assembly of Ecuador banned Bitcoin, decentralized digital currencies, while establishing guidelines for the creation of a new state-run currency. Not a lot of people had thought the country would move so fast in the initiative. However, now Ecuador's e-money initiative is about to see wider institutional involvement following a government directive. It's in a mandate. If for whatever reason you feel like looking up mandates, it's Resolution 064-2015-M, released on May 25th. So this sets up something that sets up the the national cryptocurrency, and all the banks in Ecuador have a certain amount of days to kind of get in line with this, to get involved with it. The Central Bank of Ecuador gives because that's exactly what it's tied to. It's tied to their central bank, and it gives all the banks 360 days to get on board. If an Ecuadorian bank possesses 1 billion or more in assets, they have 120 days to integrate. Banks that have less than 150 million have 360 days to integrate or add support. And
if you're saying the state made their own cryptocurrency, right?
Yeah. I mean, the central bank did.
To what extent is it a cryptocurrency? Is it, I mean, I don't know if it says all this, but do you know, would you imagine that anybody can mine it, or is it centralized? Do they just control? Is it just like a digital currency, or is it really a cryptocurrency?
It looks to be more just like a digital currency because it's.
Yeah,
it's obviously not a cryptocurrency.
I mean,
it says right on here. I mean, it's not obviously not, but they say. Interesting, on one hand, the government is pro-cryptocurrency. On the other hand, it bans Bitcoin. This has not gone well with Bitcoin. But the National Assembly, they're talking about electronic money more than cryptocurrency. They say they don't have any basis for this. They just say electronic money will stimulate the economy. It will be possible to extract more they do make the point there. It will be possible to extract more Ecuadorian citizens, especially those who do not have checking or savings account and credit cards alone. The electronic currency will be backed by the assets of the Central Bank of Ecuador. Now, I don't know. Possible to attract more Ecuadorian citizens. So, I mean, one thing for them, I guess, is just bringing more. A lot of the Ecuadorian citizens who don't have checking or savings account, and you're bringing them into this, where it's going to be more of a. I don't know. You can watch over it more. So I don't see how it's really a cryptocurrency.
Yeah, I know.
Unless it's just based off
I would have to imagine. It's just that they, as the state, I mean, maybe I'm sure it's digital. Maybe there's a blockchain where you can see the transactions. Maybe. But the biggest thing is, I'm sure they have control. I'm sure they could erase transactions, revert them, whatever. I mean, right? I mean, how could they sponsor a currency that they don't have control over? I think. I mean, I don't know that for sure, but
they're trying to switch out of having the U.S. dollar as their official currency.
Well,
I think.
I mean, okay.
So,
I mean, that's. I mean, I would say that's probably better than the dollar. Well, I don't know actually. I mean, it's I hate the dollar. It's got so many problems, but
I mean, it's harder on another country.
It works well
because it just goes. They can't control it as much, and so they kind of get screwed over whenever. They don't always do, but it's easier for them to get screwed over. So.
I mean, I'd rather have countries have their own currencies, even if it's fiat currency.
Yeah, I guess.
Just imperialism otherwise.
Yeah, I agree with that idea, but my point was just the dollar obviously has problems. Obviously is gonna be a huge issue eventually. But at any given moment, if you just need to use it for making a transaction, compared to other currencies, it really is pretty darn valuable. It's a lot more stable compared to some like tiny third world currencies and stuff like that. So I was just saying, it it is decent still, as much as it's messed up. It's still decent compared to a lot of other options out there. That's all I think I wanted to say. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, if it just depends how much control they have over the currency, and that
They have full control. It's issued by the central bank.
okay,
So they're going to treat
okay.
it like
Well,
any other fiat currency. It's just going to be easier to track and easier to keep a hold of who's paying what, and it's going to be easier for taxes, and it's just going to make it easier for them to collect money. Not
okay. So
just, I shouldn't say just.
then the question becomes: is a digital currency actually worse then for the state to have if because it would give them so much more control than it might over cash? Do you think that there's actually risk then if they have a digital currency? They can literally do and manage and erase and watch whatever transactions right from their frickin' leather office chairs. Is that dangerous? I mean, it
I mean,
sounds like
that's
it to
definitely a
me.
possibility because they say in the end just that the major concern is I mean it's privacy, like I was saying, and there's just not that much infrastructure anyway. So who's to say? Like there's gonna be like little points of centralization that aren't gonna be that good. So they're gonna be like trying to centralize it, but who knows? And it's not private at all, like we're saying. So why would you want to do it? It seems like it's more just like a national PayPal. And yeah, I'd say that's probably worse for the government to have because they can keep track of stuff easier. But at
Yeah.
the same time, if it well, no, I don't really see that much of a use for this really at all. Like, no, really, what's the point of this? Like,
You mean what's the point for the people or for the state?
I guess, like, what kind, what's their argument for why? I guess I don't know.
What's the state's argument? I'm sure they're just saying, it's easier, more convenient because it is digital. It is. I'm sure it does have some cryptocurrency aspects that would make it more secure. I mean, it's centralized, but maybe it does have a blockchain and it's more secure, uh, protected against maliciousness and things like that.
Maliciousness.
Maybe. Yeah, that was a weird word. Malicious.
Well,
Is it a word? I guess it must be. I don't know.
yeah, I think so. Or no, it's no, never mind.
Malice.
But, or yeah, I was gonna say malevolent, but it's
Malice.
a
Yeah.
completely different word.
Yeah, I think it's malice.
Why can't we just okay if it's for that, for making it easier and for keeping it safe? Why not just use cash for these people? Because most of these people don't have uh, normal banking things anyway.
Because digital is more convenient. You don't have to, keep it under your mattress like cash. You don't have to carry it around like cash. You can just have it on a card or something. I mean, digital is always more convenient. Pretty
Or a
much.
digital place. I mean, how um how modern is Ecuador? Or like how much do you guys know
Yeah,
about
like how well
offhand?
connected. Well, I mean, I'm sure.
How well
See, that's the
connected?
thing
Yeah.
is
How much did we
a
fucking
lot of
know?
people talk
How much
about.
do
Well, listen. I mean, I don't know for sure. I've never been there and stuff, but I would imagine it's more connected than it just seems in your mind. I mean,
no,
as
I mean, most South
Americans,
American countries are pretty good.
yeah, and actually that's something worth talking about. As Americans, we're trained to think that we're like the only country in the world that
Well,
has
we don't have
anything
internet.
good at all. And so, like, when you're a little kid, you think about Africa, and all you think of is like desert and cactuses or something, and lions. I don't know.
Lions.
But they have huge cities. A lot of people. They all have internet and TV and everything. And they have their issues, but I mean, they have cities. That's it. You know, they have offices, cars, and everything. It's not like, I mean, not everybody, obviously. There are rundown places and stuff, but anyway, my point was
Well,
just that just because it's Ecuador, just because it's in South America, doesn't mean they don't have internet.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I can't claim to know everything about this, but like I have a friend who went to Belize recently, and when he came back, he was telling me how weird it was because there would be people like places where their running water wouldn't be clean, like they couldn't drink their running water, but they would have internet, and they'd live in shacks and not have clean water, but they have internet.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
weird in some of
That's
those.
awesome. Yeah.
I mean, it's not awesome, but
It's awesome,
it's
Joe.
Well, no.
it's
Oh, you're right.
interesting.
You're right. Yeah, that came out wrong. But yeah, no, I think it's good that that many people can have the internet though, because that's we talk about Bitcoin being decentralized and all these benefits, but if you don't have the internet, then that pretty much cuts you out of the whole system. But if we're able to get internet to people who, even with a low standard of living like that, then that's huge. The goal is basically everyone eventually, and that's it. That's yeah. Hopefully we can get there. So awesome. Well, I don't know. I guess we'll just keep an eye on that, see what goes down in Ecuador. I mean, I guess I'm sure the people will accept it for a while just because
Well,
that's what
they
they
have a
have to do.
choice.
But yeah, exactly, exactly. But we'll have to see if there's any issues, if it turns out to be helpful or problematic. I don't know. It could go anywhere. I guess like I said, the losing things come down to how much control they have over it and how much it really is like cryptocurrency. And I guess we don't have the exact details on that, but it'll be interesting to watch it roll out. So awesome. Well, we will get to another article in a moment, but I want to remind people check out umeandbtc.com/live to tweet us, vote in our poll. Actually, let's cover some stability thoughts next. I don't think we have an actual story for this, but just talk about the idea of Bitcoin being stable. Because I want to cover the poll story early so that we can keep telling people to get over there and vote. Now, I will make a disclaimer, like the poll story or the poll question is pretty open-ended. It's pretty much full-on prediction. Like it's just pick whatever you think, and it might be right or it might be wrong. It's just guessing, honestly. But we're asking people, do you think Bitcoin could remain relatively stable for another 3 months, 6 months, whatever? So get over there and vote. umeandbtc.com/live. And I guess you were saying, Tim, how long has it been in between what, like 210 and 250 or something? Was it like 3 months or so?
220 and 240, I think.
Oh wow, even tighter. Yeah, that's good. That's a real tight range. I didn't realize it was that close. All right, so that's good. And it was 3 months, like you said.
I can find the graph. Yeah, I believe it was 3 months.
Okay. Well, so that's interesting. I mean, because I do actually remember, 2 or 3 days ago, somebody, I saw a link and it was all about, oh, the Bitcoin price is going downwards again because it dropped from like probably 230 something to 220 something. And so you got to put up an article about why is the Bitcoin price dropping, which I guess that has to be a good thing because in the past, nobody ever would have considered that a drop. It was, that was just another hour in the Bitcoin cycle. A $10 drop was absolutely nothing. And so, yeah, I guess it must be good if people are seeing a $10 drop as a pretty serious move. I guess that's an indicator of stability. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Tim, I'm looking. I don't know if we're exactly right. You might have been talking about 2 months or something, because I'm looking at a 3 month chart, and it goes all the way up to like 280. Back at the very beginning of April, I guess. They're pushing 280. But anyway, still, I guess if I look at it for a month,
I put a chart
for
in the
1
chat if you
month.
want to look at it.
Yeah, it was probably 1 month, Tim. I'm looking at 1 month, and it's between about 225 and 240 roughly. But still, the point is, even if you expand it, it's been in the $200 range for, oh my gosh, a long time. So I don't know. So I guess then we'll bring it up to you guys. The stability question. Do you think it could remain stable? I actually have an interesting thought on this, which I'll bring up, but I want to ask you guys first. How would you answer the poll? Actually, you can get over there and actually answer it if you want. Uh, how long do you think we could remain relatively stable? How many months? Could it be a couple years? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you were saying, stable is kind of a term that you have to define before you can answer that question. Like
Right,
people
right.
writing an article about the price changing $10 now, whereas in the past it was like $200 price swings or something like that. So I mean,
Right.
I don't know. I feel
Well,
like
I did actually, just so you know, I did in the question, I defined stable as, what did I say, between about 210 and 240. I just threw out some numbers.
okay, yeah.
So
That sounds pretty good. I was gonna
30,
say
$30 range.
yeah, like a $20 range, but 30 that makes sense too. I don't know. I already answered and I said 3 months. I don't really know why. It just
I
feels
know. I
right.
know when you get down to predictions, especially on the Bitcoin price, it's just anybody's game. But it's fun to talk about, fun to think about, fun to analyze. So, what do you think, Tim? John, just so you know, you're a touch quiet. It's not terrible, but just so you know.
Just a touch. Just a touch.
Is that better?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I think it'll stay stable for a few more months. I think it's going to wait for something else to maybe set it off till. I say it's going to go up just because I have to pick one. I have no idea. But well, no, actually, I do. I think it's going to go up because it has showed that it's stable. Not a lot. I don't think it's going to jump up a lot, but I think it will start slowly gaining some value because it's shown that it's stable. But then I guess by gaining that value, it's not being stable anymore. But
Well,
yeah,
No, a slow rise. If it's slow enough, it can still rise and be considered pretty stable. I mean, that's probably the ultimate goal, is because you don't want it to spike because that could cause problems. But if you just let it go, and if more people slowly join up and are using it, it should rise slowly, and there's not any real issues with that.
I'm not that concerned. There's enough things now that if you can't use Bitcoin without losing your money just because it drops in price, it's more your fault than anyone else's. Because we were just talking last week. There's all those things where you can put the money in and it just keeps it at that same exact amount of
Well, yeah, but
Bitcoin.
that's not because they trust in stability. That's because okay, let me clarify this so people know what Tim's talking about. Last week we covered the one service was called CoinJar, but there are others that do it where you deposit, say, $100 worth of Bitcoin, and they do all the work behind the scenes, so you don't even see any of the exchanging. But the idea is that if you come back in 10 years, no matter what the price of Bitcoin is, you'll still have $100 worth of Bitcoin, and they just adjust your balance based on the Bitcoin price, such that it's always $100. Now, Tim, they don't do that because they trust in stability. They do it because they do exchange it for dollars, and they do keep it in dollars,
Yeah,
but they
I
do
know.
that behind the scenes, so that all you see is Bitcoin, and the amount of Bitcoin changes based on the price, but they do exchanging behind the scenes.
Yeah, I know. I'm not saying that they're banking on instability to make money. I'm saying that it's not that hard, especially now, to not have to worry about the price. You know what I mean? Like bouncing around I guess I'm more getting
Yeah.
it doesn't getting
Okay.
back to it that I don't really care because I don't even use those things normally, and it's still. I mean, I was kind of like, well, it could go up, it could go down. I'll just put in a little bit extra if I have to buy something. Okay, I mean, it's great that it's stable, but I don't have to have it be stable because then there's all these new companies that make it so that you don't even have to worry about that because they're taking the. I mean, they're
Okay.
not taking the risk, like you said,
Okay.
they're putting it right in, but
Okay.
it's
So you're
it's not as
saying
dangerous
you're
as people make
saying
it out to be.
yeah. That's I sort of see what you're saying, but I don't know if that even counts because it's like oh you can trust in Bitcoin stability because you could just keep
I'm
dollars.
not saying you should
Like
trust in
that's
stability. I'm saying you shouldn't care.
or yeah
Not
that
that
yeah
you shouldn't care. I
that
mean, I get why
not
people
wrong.
care. I'm saying it's not as important.
Yeah, but you're saying it's not important because you can use dollars instead. That's basically what you're saying, and I don't know if that counts. Like,
Like, no, that's not just what I'm saying. I'm saying it doesn't care. It doesn't matter. If it does matter to you, if you're so concerned with it, you can still do that and use like something else. Or would you
yeah,
want to
I
like keep
guess
the value?
I would stick with just your first point. Like, who cares? I mean,
Thank you, Daniel.
that's
Just
kind of
says
where we've been for a long time. That we've I'm sure there's I'm sure we've varied opinions throughout our year and a half of podcasts. But in general, that tends to be where we come back to is just who cares? I mean, and especially
a lot of people do.
well,
I think a lot of people
I
do.
know that. I know that. Yeah. But here's something I want to hit. I don't want to harp on it too much because I'm not willing to go into many details. But yesterday I got really pissed off at the state for a couple reasons, and basically I just got sick. I mean, obviously, I know this is a thing. I know I've always hated the state. I mean, it's of course I've always been liberty minded, pretty much an anarchist, but I don't like to use that label because people misinterpret it and shit. Yeah, okay. So, uh, so I don't like to label that. But the point is, I've always hated the government. But yesterday, it struck me way too much, and so that's part of that's influence is pushing me to say today that I don't give a crap what Bitcoin does. I'm just going to use it because they can't. Like I don't care if the price goes up. I don't care if the price goes to $1. It'll be better than letting them literally fucking screw with my life. So that's that's my little rant with very few details there. Anyway, all right. So here's what I want to hit. Actually, I mentioned this a little bit ago with about the price. And this, I want to say it was a Let's Talk Bitcoin episode where they briefly mentioned this. Actually, now I'm doubting myself, but doesn't really matter.
Don't ever
I
doubt
heard
yourself.
somebody saying recently that having Bitcoin remain stable, even a slow decline, is huge when you realize how much money is being pumped into, how much inflation there is every single day. I should do the math, but I'm not going to do it this second. I probably will if I can find a second. But there are literally, oh man, I'm echoing all the way in. I'm shouting now because I can hear myself on Tim's microphone. um, there are literally millions of dollars of Bitcoin mined every day. Millions. And yet the price remains stable. Brand new Bitcoins showing up out of thin air, and the price remains fairly stable. I mean, when you think about it, especially for such a small market, you only have, I have no clue what the percentage would be. Maybe like 1 or 2% of Americans actually use Bitcoin on a regular basis. Probably less than that. I have no clue. But even with so few people into Bitcoin, there are still enough buyers out there to buy millions of dollars every day, or to support millions of dollars of inflation every day. Does that make do you guys know what I'm saying? And do you agree? Is that a good thing?
I like the point. I don't know how much. Well, no, I think I agree with that.
Okay,
Yeah.
I did just do the math. It's 24 hours in a day, six blocks per hour, 25 bitcoins per block, and about $230 um, per bitcoin. I think that's everything. I don't think I missed anything. And it comes out to $828,000. So I guess it's not millions, like I said. That makes me wonder what the heck I was listening to, because I thought they said, several millions. But still, even 828,000. Okay, so that's a lot easier for a big company to cover, and especially for when you aggregate all the small buyers out there and stuff. So maybe it's not as surprising, but when you consider that it happens every single day, that people are putting about $1 million into supporting Bitcoin, into covering this inflation, that that seems pretty good. And so then when that comes to prediction, how long do you think it could remain stable? I mean, it's still, it's it's prediction, and this doesn't really answer the question, but I would expect that it could rise pretty easily pretty soon. So that I guess that would mean that it won't remain stable very long, but just the fact that there's that much inflation every day and people are still rallying around it, that makes me expect that people are loving it. Obviously, I'm a Bitcoin lover. I've said all this stuff and I know all this stuff for a long time, or I've known all this stuff for a long time. But it's just I just want to reinforce it. I think Bitcoin is really doing stuff. I think people are really liking it, really using it, and eventually, I guess I think there's still is there a term for that, like a critical point, critical adoption point? Yeah, that's a critical point. That's what it's called in like calculus or something. Critical value, maybe. I don't know.
Critical
Anyway,
mass.
You guys did calculus, not me.
critical mass, maybe. Yeah, I think uh, I think there is still a pretty significant turning point to come. Even though we've already seen several big bubbles and stuff, I think it's got to happen again because, like I said, tiny, tiny percentages of people even use Bitcoin still, and eventually, I think a lot more people just got to jump on board. So we'll look forward to
Yeah,
that. Sorry, I went off for quite a while there. Do you guys any thoughts? Agree? Disagree?
I would agree.
I'm going to vote in the poll. I guess I'm going to vote the minimum, which is more than 3 months, because, like I said, I thinking about this makes me think that a lot of people are liking Bitcoin, and I look forward to seeing how it turns out. So awesome. All right, so I'm gonna,
So,
once again, remind people if you want to vote in that poll, which we definitely encourage you to. That's at umeandbtc.com/live. We have one open response. This is pretty good. Uh, his answer to the question, "How long do you think it will remain stable?" is forever, in all caps, forever. Well,
it's forever.
I, it's going to remain. This is his answer. It's going to remain stable forever, but hopefully it goes up. Which, I mean,
I'm fine
I
with
guess
that.
that's possible. I mean, yeah, it's basically like I was saying earlier. It can sort of do both at once. If the rise is slow enough, it could be considered stable and it could be rising at the same time. So I guess that's kind of what he's getting at. And yeah, like we said, that's the ultimate goal. I think with pretty much anything, right? I mean, you obviously whatever you own, it's great to have it go up in value. So you want some kind of rise, but you just don't want it so fast that it causes problems. At least for a currency. If using it, all over the place on a daily basis, you can't have it spike just because then it's just hard for people to keep track of. Not because the increase in value is a bad thing, it's just hard to keep track of. It's hard to handle changes that so fast. And then then lending becomes a problem because values change and stuff. So awesome. So that, I guess we'll stick with that. That's the ultimate goal. If anybody else wants to get over there, umimbtc.com/live. Vote in our poll. Send us a tweet. Any questions, comments. If you have a headline that you'd like us to cover, we would love to do that. Just shoot us a link, and we will get to it. If we see it, if we find it, use the hashtag YMBLive, username at UmiandBTC. So, cool. All right, I'll let you guys fight it out. I don't know. Well, I guess Tim covered a story, so I don't know if you have anything ready, John. We could jump on to whatever the heck you want to.
Yeah, I have
I
I have several things. I have
All right,
several things we
do
could
it.
talk about. I'll start off with a short one. Well, I say it's short, but you guys maybe could find a way to talk about it for half an hour. I don't know, but I think it probably won't take. I don't think it will take long to talk about. This is a CNBC.com article. The headline is New York City man robbed at gunpoint, ellipsis. Or wait, crap, I screwed that up. Let me start again. I ruined the dramatic pause. All right, New York City man robbed at gunpoint for, ellipsis, Bitcoin? So this basically what happened is this guy...
I did read this one. Yeah, I didn't read it, but I did think about covering this just because it might be the first time that it's actually happened. Oh yeah, this is awesome.
Actually in the article...
I mean, not awesome, but...
In the article they say that it happened... In the article they say it happened at least once before. So it's not the first, but there probably haven't been very many. What happened was it was a Craigslist ad offering Bitcoins for sale. So this guy went to a street corner... And apparently the guy took him into a car and then pulled a gun on him and made him send the Bitcoin to whatever address. And then they took his phone and left him. Then the guy called the police and whatever. Nobody's been caught yet, I don't think. Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, with Bitcoin, I guess you think about, well, how do you deal with that when Bitcoin is irreversible?
You don't deal with it.
There's going to be scammers everywhere. What's
So
that?
you don't deal with it, just like you can't deal with it. You're never going to stop people from stealing shit.
Well, here's the thing. There's when you buy something on Craigslist, you're taking a risk anyways. Like that's why we have stuff like World Coins.
That's why most people don't go on there and read up on them. But.
Yeah, I mean even Coinbase. Like just use Coinbase if you're worried about getting mugged. Don't buy from somebody on Craigslist unless you really know what you're doing, or unless you bring like a machete with you or something.
Yeah, or bring your own weapon. Yeah, we'll encourage that. It's just death in the streets.
I don't know. I said a machete. I guess. I mean.
I'm more scared.
Yeah, machete.
How's he gonna come to a Bitcoin thing with a machete like stuck down his pants, like
that war club thing.
Yes. Yeah. What's that for? Anything goes wrong, I'm just ready.
I've been slightly distracted for a few seconds, but one thing that I meant to bring up with Bitcoin, I mean there's still development and you have to think about how you could do this, but I think one of the biggest ways that you actually can at least partially deal with this stuff is with, I mean, the stuff people always talk about, programmable money. It's got multi-sig. You can time lock it and everything. There's got to be ways where you can set up safer deals with multi-sig and programmable money, right?
It's just more hassle.
I don't know how in the situation that happened. I can't see multi-sig really helping very much.
Well, if it was him and someone else, and then they would have just been, all right, we're going to shoot you because we didn't get anything. No. You mean, Daniel, like on your phone? Because he can't have that if he's going to trade. How much did he have on his phone versus how much were they going to trade for? Do you know, John?
No, it doesn't say anything about that. And the thing is, it didn't sound like they took his, like, I don't know why they would make him send it to an address and then take his phone. I feel like they weren't taking his phone to get more Bitcoin because that like they could have just taken
Would
it
send
instead
it,
of having
yeah.
him send it. So I don't know exactly what's up with them taking his phone or whatever. But as far as that, yeah, having multi-sig would help. But like if he was planning on sending this stuff and using a multi-sig wallet, like he would have had to have somebody else there with him.
Yeah, that would have been
And I
annoying.
mean, maybe that would help.
No.
Maybe it's a good idea to bring a friend with you when you do things like this. But
Yeah,
but
probably
then
just
what's
the same way
stopping them
you
from pulling
answer
a
the
gun on
personal
both?
ones.
They might as well just pull a gun on
Here-
both people at that point.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. I mean, with the very basic level of multisig, that's the best you can come up with. But this is what it is about Bitcoin and just about multisig itself, even. But I don't think that's true. Well, I think there's a whole lot more that you can do than we can think of right now.
I
There's
Probably.
got
I
to be
completely
systems
accept that.
No, Daniel, I agree with you, and I understand why you're going this way. But I think the issue here is that like these guys were trading for dollars. Like that's what makes it screwed up.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, I get that. Yeah, because there are uh, holy crap, this is huge. Let me finish my thought. Um,
Okay. What?
listen, I'll get there. This
Okay,
is
all
going to
right.
be huge.
Everybody needs to be excited right now.
Yeah, you're right, John. The way you solve it is by trading cryptocurrency for cryptocurrency, and that. There's got to be systems to make that unbreakable, and that's why they talk about like side chains and stuff, where it's all cryptographically provable that you can trade from one coin to another at a set value and work on another blockchain and then come back to the Bitcoin blockchain. I agree, John. If everything was crypto, this would be vastly different. I need you guys to talk about this or jump on to. Well, no, you know what? We're not going to go to another story. S- This is going to be huge. So just trust me. Carry this for about 2 or 3 minutes, and I'll get back to you. I mean, I'll be sitting
Okay.
here.
I
But
have,
need
I
to do
have no
Well,
idea if you want me to do
I'll just like maybe
it.
last
Oh,
week.
this is still fun.
Last week wasn't didn't we say something similar where you were talking about smart contracts for like signing over a house to somebody, but then like they still have to give them the physical key.
Right. Oh yeah.
I think
Yeah.
here is the same kind of issue where what they were doing necessitated the two of them meeting in person, and that's the so like I said, like you were saying, if you trade crypto for crypto, this wouldn't have happened. I don't know if I could really think of a way that you could do this for trading for cash and not have a
Just
problem.
like just a PayPal thing online, but anything where you're like actual cash,
But yeah,
I don't
that's what
think
I
you'd be able to
meant.
fix
Yeah.
it without bringing a bunch of other people. Yeah,
Or
just go with
just
like,
bringing your own gun.
or
Yeah.
yeah, just like don't get in the car with somebody. You're not selling drugs. It's not illegal. Just do it on the street corner unless you drag them into the car.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, John, with and we actually we won't cover. Yeah. So let me remind people that we'll have our regular podcast recorded. It's coming out tomorrow, every Thursday. And one thing that we mentioned, we were talking to Anthem Hayek with he created a cryptocurrency called Hayek Gold. His no Anthem Hayek. Uh, what's his last? Blanchard. There we go. Anthem Hayek Blanchard
Most
is his full name.
pristine.
It's kind of cool. His his middle name's Hayek, but he was. We were talking about how to connect to the physical world, and the bottom line is once you try and do that, there's got to be an element of trust that you just can't escape it, and that's fine. I mean, there's people that that you can trust. I trust Tim way more than I ever should. That's just the way it is. There are, people are going to have people that they trust. And so if you want to try a system that connects the real world to the physical world, that's fine. And if people trust you, that's fine. But just remember that it's not going to, it's just remember that. Just remember that there is an element of trust and things could still go wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you shouldn't trust, something like a Hayek Gold. I mean, they do have some pretty awesome systems in place and a good reputation and everything. And we trust our banks every day to hold our money. We shouldn't, but theoretically, if you need to use a bank, it's for the time being, it works out, and you can do it. You can get your money in, you can get your money out, usually. So there's, most of the time, there's nothing wrong with trusting people or certain people. Just remember that the trust is there. Try and figure out what's going on and stuff like that. So that's yeah, John, like you were saying. With the smart contracts, you're connecting some things to the physical. You're connecting crypto to the physical world, just like this trade crypto to physical dollars.
Yeah. I actually really like what you're saying about trust, because we talk about eliminating trust all the time with this kind of stuff. And yeah, that's good, but like at some point you can't go through life without trust. That's just how, like, if you take a dump,
Yeah,
you have
exactly.
to trust that the toilet is gonna flush. Like, if even something as stupid as that, like, that's just part of
You don't have
life.
to trust that.
You
No, if you
can't.
don't trust toilets, just go to public bathrooms all the time because you won't have to clean it up.
Well, I mean, yeah, but
Yeah, no, I know what
somebody
you're
will.
saying, yeah.
I mean, or anything. Like, if you go to the store, you trust that they're gonna let you buy something. They could just be like, "Oh, sorry, you're not allowed to buy this. You have to leave." Like, that's
Right.
just another stupid example. But like, you can't. It's good to minimize trust as much as possible, but you can't eliminate it totally.
Yep, exactly.
And I think that's
I
important to
definitely
remember, I
agree.
guess.
Yeah, and even on a more, a more serious level, I guess, you think about your own self and your own life. Every time that you interact with somebody, I mean, to some extent, you're trusting them. I mean, I didn't invite him to my house, but he's here because he just walked in this morning while I was still asleep. And
It wasn't this morning, though. Wasn't it more like this
Yeah, it was
afternoon?
actually this afternoon.
well, yeah, it was 12:07 or something. But I trust him because I'm trusting him not to threaten me, not to hurt me, and trust me, he could hurt me. Yeah, trust me, Tim could hurt me. It's true. So
I don't know
anyway,
if I
so
trust
my
you.
point was every single day we are trusting people that that they won't hurt us, that they won't attack us. Oh my gosh, I think it was last week, Tim, that we were talking about driving. Holy shit! Every time you drive, you better damn well trust those people that are
Oh,
six
yeah.
inches away from you on the other
Uh,
side of that
Oh,
yellow
yeah, dude
line.
almost
and I
killed me
mean, you
today
have
because
to.
he wasn't even looking. Just a big, like box truck. I'm sitting in the lane next to him. I see out of the corner of my eye a light. Come on, he starts moving on. I'm like, all right, man, I'll move. It's like, wait.
Yeah, I mean, you have to trust your car too. Like, you have to trust Ford that they made a car that's not
Yeah,
just
the
gonna
Oh
tire,
like
yeah, the
yeah,
tire's
yeah.
not gonna
start
blow out with
collapsing you.
80 miles an hour and flip you
Yeah,
over
I
on the
mean,
highway.
yeah, driving, there's a huge amount of trust involved in every part of it.
Right. Absolutely. I totally agree, and that's just the way life is. And I don't know. I mean, if you want to imagine that in the future we can get around a lot of that stuff, maybe it's possible. Nothing's theoretically nothing's impossible. But I wouldn't. I don't think that's going to come around in our lifetimes. I don't think we're going to eliminate trust in our lifetimes. So it's a fact of life, and we do it all the time. So that's then bring that back again. When you connect crypto to the physical world, that's fine. Do it. I mean, if you want to do it, if you trust people, go for it. Remember, there's trust involved, and make an effort to down the road. make an effort to eliminate that trust, which would, like I said, that in this case it would be going crypto to crypto. And that hopefully we can see that in our lifetimes when everybody uses crypto a whole lot more, and then at least in one area we can eliminate trust. Okay, cool. Yeah. How long did we go, John? Did we get the whole half hour?
Pretty much. I think it was probably like 10 minutes.
We're probably not even finished with it yet, but we might have to come back to it. So, another reminder. Oh gosh, this is fun. I'm excited. Everybody watching, listening on the audio stream, get to umeandbtc.com/live if you're not already. There's a couple things you can do there. You can watch and listen. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. I'm sorry, I didn't realize what I was doing when I did that. But anyways,
No.
Wall of Coins just tweeted that it was one of their customers was robbed at gunpoint.
Yeah,
and
I know.
That's who they reference in the article. It's not the one that the main article's about. They say like this happened to somebody earlier, and I'm pretty sure that's the Wall of Coins guy.
Yeah, it totally is, so that's crazy. Where was I? Oh yeah, so yeah, they tweeted us that. So any thoughts, questions, or comments, send out a tweet to us at UmeandBTC with the hashtag YMBLive. Anything at all. If you want to tweet it, last week we got Satoshi Penis. If that's your thoughts on the show, we'll take it. So actually, that wasn't a tweet. That was an open response to our poll, which is another thing to remind you. Same webpage, umeandbtc.com/live. You can vote in our poll. We're trying to figure out how long Bitcoin might stay stable. Right now, it's 60. 2/3 are at the minimum 3 months because that's, I don't know. I think it's got to move eventually again. There's got to be another bubble. It might spike and it probably won't stay high, but that's when the stability ends for a time. And then somebody said forever, but hopefully it goes up, and that really is the ultimate goal. So cool. So definitely do that. And I'm gonna bounce back to Tim. Tim went a little bit crazy this morning. He said he had like 7 paired, and I'm not sure that we've even covered. Well, I don't know. Last week we might have covered 7. So
yeah, I mean, I'm gonna
point it.
So.
Wait, are you telling me to do something else, or wait? I thought you had. I'm confused.
No, I do have something, but I'm not ready for it. So prepare to. I might interrupt you, Tim.
Is this the thing that you've just been building up so much this whole time?
Yeah, I think so. Okay. This one was about. I don't know. Well, actually, that's not Bitcoin. That was just about Reason. MasterCard.
I saw this.
Yeah, MasterCard making the case it's safer and faster than Bitcoin. MasterCard.
Wait,
that's fine. What?
Wait, MasterCard is saying that they're better than Bitcoin.
They're safer and faster. Which is fine. They can say whatever stupid shit they want. But,
oh, shoot. Okay, Tim, I'm interrupting you.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I've been building up for. We're joined right now by Mr. Todd Kantor. I don't know if he can hear us. Audio might be a little sketchy. Can you hear us, Todd?
Well, let me try something else.
Yeah, no problem. Oh man, I'll have to touch that up for the audio release. But guys, this is the man himself.
I like how you brought that up so
Gunpoint.
much.
Yeah, this is a pleasant surprise. We did not plan this at all, but I'm glad I left. I'm glad I left my Skype running. I usually don't, but he should be back momentarily, and he can tell us his story, exactly how it happened, and we can ask him about his thoughts on the whole trust issue and things like that. So, hey Todd, is this any better?
Yes, that's better. That's better.
Awesome.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, I gotta say, thanks a lot for joining us on a real quick notice. This is so cool. I mean, obviously not cool that you were threatened and stuff, but just glad to have you with
Everyone's
us and
very excited
everything.
that you were robbed over for Bitcoin.
Well, yeah.
It's become
So,
the late. Go ahead.
well, I was just gonna say thanks for being here, and I'll just let you go if you want to share the story real quick and tell us what went down.
It's kind of become the lay of the land out here that you have to be really careful. Um, it started last summer, middle of the summer. So they abducted one of the guys that I sell coins with, and they kept him. And he sent the coin. They made him send the coins out, about $10,000. And that just became like a common thing out here. Like I jumped in the back of the car. People, I don't know, somebody that I regularly deal with called, said my brother wants 2,000 coin. So I jump in the back seat. We kind of fucking, excuse my mouth, we should have known better, all of us, but you don't see it coming. You know what I mean? I grew up in a different environment. I just didn't see it coming. So jump in the back, so the kid turns around, he's got a revolver, go for the doors, the child safety locks are on. So they ride me around here for a couple of hours, and
They
for
kept
whatever
you in the car
reason,
for 2 hours?
yeah, they kept me in the car for a couple of hours, and then we come back after all that time back to the house, and they make my kid bring down electronics, whatever it was, a laptop and some other stuff, and they take that, and then they shot us up the road, and finally they booted me out, but it wasn't that easy for everybody. There's a firefighter in Williamsburg, so same thing, they kidnapped him, except he must have thought that he must have reacted differently than I did, or it was different kids that did it, but they beat his ass, they stabbed him, and they pushed him out in a moving car. He wound up in a hospital for 2-3 weeks after the incident. He was in the hospital, and he doesn't sell coins anymore.
No.
I mean, I'm sure he kept the on the side, but yes, like some of the guys that it happened to didn't make it back. It was a string of this going on here.
Dang.
There's
like
a
people hitting up
show.
people and stealing from them.
And it's hard to believe that these guys are able to. My problem was I fraternized with a lot of these guys way too much. You become comfortable with them. Not just me, my friend, who the first one that we know of that in the summer when he got it last summer, he was too close to the people that he was selling coins to. You don't see it coming out. There's a show called Money and Violence on YouTube. They did it. Some kids did it locally last summer, and it really caught on. It caught some traction. I think they got picked up by somebody, but as it'll give you kind of an insight into the people in Brooklyn who are buying coins for whatever reason. It's mostly younger kids. Yeah, that's it.
That's pretty crazy, and it's I hadn't known that it was this prevalent. So I mean, and this is what we were just talking about. So we'll ask you for some opinions, but we're just thinking about the whole idea of when you've got crypto, irreversible, solid currency, and you're trading it for something physical, or especially if you're trading it for like a credit card payment or something, then it's real sketchy. But even if you're trading it for cash, it's when you connect the crypto world to the physical world, there has to be an element of trust. I mean, you have to trust that they'll give you the money, or that they're gonna. Well, yeah, that's true too. So.
Well, there has to be, and you're gonna. I have guys that have been coming since the beginning of this, and I'm comfortable with them. But for myself, and I got to tell you, the other pro traders that are still left in the city are impressed with what's going on. For myself, I had to reduce it to something else. Now it's, the story is, okay, this is my backstory, in case anybody gives me anything, that because of the demographic of the whole thing that we're dealing with, getting robbed all the time, that 4 or 5 of us have teamed up, and now the only way to get coins out of this system is to meet me at the bank. I'll put the money in the bank. I'll sit there with you for 15 minutes. I'm trying to, I buy coins from Jenna Trust a lot, so I try and have it arranged that I'm not going to be sitting there in that awkward silence too long. 10 or 15 minutes, the order's processed, the coins come. And from that point on, after meeting me, I'm in this for the long haul, and most people have enough faith to just go to the bank after that and just do the deposits. If I have to meet them and hold them their hand, that's fine. But I had to take out of the loop the possibility that I would ever have any cash or coin on me. Even my guys who I know, who I have trust with, if they call me 3 in the morning and they want $300, like it used to be, I would just send it and collect the money. Now I got to stick with the backstory that I don't leave the office with cash or coin. Yeah. So therefore, there's no reason to ever abduct me in the future.
Yeah.
Because it was insane. It's terrifying. The whole fucking thing was terrifying.
I mean, what would you advise for people to keep them safe? Would you just say don't meet people on the street, just do like what you're doing, or I mean,
you can do what you're doing. I'm too lazy to go to Starbucks all the time, man. In the beginning, I did that, but there's way too many people now. I don't want to spend all day at Starbucks. So, and I really thought it was going to be a hard transition because we went from heavy hand-to-hand purchases. It was like Stop and Cop in front of my house for Bitcoin. It was crazy, And I went from that, and I didn't think I would be able to transition into a more organized structure where everybody's protected. Nobody's getting lined up for a robbery. And a lot of hand-holding, a lot of meeting people at the bank, several times sometimes. But they've come to grow. They've grown to love the system because now they don't have to come to Brooklyn to meet me every time, depending on where they are. Brooklyn is kind of immense, and it can be a pain in the ass to get from one end to the other. And for me,
you mean transitioning to using like Wall of Coins, right? Like just the way that you can get cash deposited.
Well, I'm doing essentially the same thing. Like Wall Coins facilitates a lot of this for me. You know what I mean? But it's my clientele. So for me, they've enabled me to kind of keep my client base and still successfully serve the people.
Yeah, no, that's really cool, and that's something we were talking about too. Well, how do you, what can you put in place to secure yourself? To protect yourself and avoid this stuff, and the idea of doing transactions, online only is definitely helpful, and when there are services that make that easier, that's great. And also, it's great to have your own clients too, and then from there, I guess, I used to do a lot of trading on the Bitcoin OTC IRC channel, and they have their web of trust, and that's helpful too. It's not perfect just because it's software, and there's going to be good rules in the system and bad rules in the system for the web of trust system. But it's helpful. It's really helpful to have ratings for everybody and to see how many ratings they have, how long they've been rated, and stuff like that. So I don't know. I don't know if you've ever used that specific IRC channel, or I don't know if you just build relationships personally over time and stuff.
Well, the big relationships, you build that over time, right? Like the guys I buy coins from, these are things that you pay attention to and you nurture. You know what I mean? These are people you're eating from. As far as my clients, started off local Bitcoins. The minute you hit 100 positive feedbacks in local Bitcoins, for me anyway, I never really even looked back. I haven't logged on that site in 6 months, and I still get calls every single day.
Oh man.
But the crooks changed the landscape here for me, because a lot of big sellers. I had some big sellers that I was friends with and also in competition with. They're done. They're burnt out. It takes a certain type of job to stay out here doing this. You go through the list in New York to buy coins with cash. Not too many people are willing to meet you anymore. I turned down a lot of stuff. I just and I think though another viable mechanism is the BTM, like a Bitcoin dispensing machine, Skyhook, anything like that. Anything where I don't have to deal with hand-to-hand people, where nobody's handing me counterfeit money, because that's another issue over there. And anything where you can't stick a gun in my face is always going to be better.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
The people who are doing this, that abducted you and have done it to other people, have you talked to other people? Does it seem like were you saying it was the same people? Is it like a group of kids? Or,
yeah, I can guarantee you that it's the same area in Brooklyn that the kids are coming from.
Okay, but it is kids, like 19, 20-year-olds, something like that?
Yeah, I would say. Now, the one kid was probably even younger than that. One kid was maybe 23, the other one's 17. But I know for me, they all come out of the same kind of circle over there. It's, whatever it is. I don't know. I was never really exposed to it before. And don't get me wrong, I've become really good friends with a lot of the people that I've sold coin to. I have people that I hang out with all the time, but the whole community is not like that. But it only takes a couple of those kids to, put the fear in.
Yeah, because you can't trust anyone then.
I grew up upper middle class Jew. What the hell do I know about sticking a gun to somebody's face? So I didn't have time. I didn't see it coming. There was no way for me to see it coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. Well, yeah, I'm so glad that you could join us. We should get onto some other headlines, but if you have anything else you want to share, you're definitely welcome to.
No,
right,
I'm out. I got some things to take care of.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Hey, thanks again.
Yeah,
this
no
was real
problem.
cool. Thanks for joining us. And good luck and everything. Stay safe. All right. That was exciting.
Yeah.
Impromptu, but worked out.
It's the best.
Cool. Well, I'll have to do some touch up on the audio, which I don't normally do, but there's some silence in there I got to cut, or some echo I guess I got to cut. But anyway. Cool. Well, we really ought to hit some other headlines. I think we're well past John's half-hour mark. But still, any other thoughts?
I've got one more thing. I know we've talked about this before. I don't know if we said this on the show ever, but I know I talked to you about this, Daniel, before. It was maybe I don't know, maybe a year ago, maybe a little bit more or something, where I started getting emails where it was like these spammy emails where people are trying to, I don't know, whatever, there's kind of just those trash emails you get where it's like some Nigerian prince who wants to give you $40 million or something. But I started getting things like that, but they were for Bitcoin, and I thought,
oh yeah,
this kind of makes it seem like Bitcoin is an actual real thing to me now. And
oh yeah.
Not to say that I think it's good that people are getting put at gunpoint and robbed and stuff. That's terrible. But at the same time, the fact that people are doing that now is maybe a sign that it's getting bigger.
Well, it's at least more.
Right.
It's getting more widespread. People are saying, "Well, we can make money off of it," so that's at least a good sign.
Yeah, it's still terrible.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think in my head I was thinking that we already mentioned that, but you're right, we didn't, and that is a really important point to make. Is when this stuff starts happening, it helps you realize that it's got value. It's going well, not necessarily. It's not. It doesn't have to be going
I,
somewhere, but there are people out there who think it's going somewhere. So, that's
not necessarily. They were probably just stealing it and then selling it for cash real quick.
Yeah. Well, I think
maybe.
there's like a twofold thing that should happen though. You realize that this is a real thing, you can actually use it. And two, you realize this is a real thing, so you should be careful.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, definitely.
as Bitcoin's getting bigger, I mean, I think those two things coincide.
Yeah,
Like the
stuff
more
you open, get
useful
away.
it is, the more careful you have to be with it, I think.
Right on. Cool. Well, if there's nothing else, we can try and get back to Tim's story because I did interrupt him, like I said I might. So, but real quick before we do, I have no clue what you said, but real quick, check out anybody listening or watching. Check out youmeandbtc.com/live to send us a tweet, question, comment. Send us a link if you want us to cover it. And then vote in our poll. We're trying to predict how long Bitcoin might stay relatively stable. So make sure you do that at youmeandbtc.com/live. We'd love to get your feedback, thoughts, anything at all. And we'll get back to Tim's story. To be entirely honest, Tim, I have no clue what you were even talking about. So
MasterCard.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
That's good because I had that same article, so this will be a good thing to talk about.
Sweet. So yeah, apparently they were saying that they are better than Bitcoin. Did they specifically say that, or were they just
They
saying that they're great?
they put out a letter. The whole letter isn't in here, but there's a part. This is from courts. It's MasterCard makes a case that it's safer and faster than Bitcoin, which, but it turns out they're not just doing that. They're actually, because any of these bigger companies can't just say stuff, they then have to lobby, because MasterCard's lobbying the UK government for increased regulation of Bitcoin and other digital cryptocurrencies that pose a threat to its legacy credit card business, as it tries to adapt to the transformation of the payments industry long overdue for change. Yeah, and you weren't changing it before because there wasn't anything there. In the current environment, we feel the risks of digital currencies outweigh the benefit, and we will always feel like that no matter what, apparently. But I mean, I get what they're saying. I'm not someone who says that credit cards are so bad compared to Bitcoin. It's not like Bitcoin's this just fixes everything. But they put out a letter, and this is the part from the letter that's in this article, and this is the most. I mean, it's not necessarily the most interesting, but we would argue that when compared to MasterCard's network, the claims pertaining to the speed and safety of digital currencies does not hold up. Not least given that on average it takes 10 minutes for a block to be verified and that digital currencies are far more susceptible to hacking attacks. First off, is that true? Are they necessarily more susceptible?
Well, yeah, I mean it depends how you look at it. I mean, obviously I love Bitcoin. My answer would be no, but their claim would be that.
Claiming what?
Yeah, their claim would be that Bitcoin is, I guess, too open. It's too accessible. Anybody can mine. So theoretically, anybody could just make a 51% attack and own the network.
Don't credit card
and also,
that
would be one level of hacking the whole network, but also, Mt. Gox, well, not specifically Mt. Gox, but all these exchanges that,
Mt. Gox.
There have been tons that have been hacked, and then individuals. We just talked to Todd Kantor. They stole his coins. I mean, that was at gunpoint. That wasn't a hack, but that can happen.
It's a kind of hack.
Yeah, sort of. Although, I mean, also that. Well, but I guess that actually is worth comparing to MasterCard, because if he was using a MasterCard, they could have just reversed transactions, right? So there's that, and then individual, laptops get hacked all the time with Bitcoins, and so their argument would be that we control everything, and even if something does go wrong, we can just undo it. And also, we're this gigantic centralized corporation. There's no way you're going to break us. You know, we've got security out the fucking wazoo. You can't get through. That would be their argument. And
Yeah.
you know, it
Yeah,
depends on who's attacking and how and what they
I
can do.
yeah, I mean, as far as third parties are concerned, they could definitely be right because MasterCard is huge and they have a lot of money to throw into security and stuff like that. And
Oh yeah.
obviously they do put a lot of money into that kind of things, into those kind of things. But yeah, I the faster thing might be true too, but I feel like that's just kind of well there I mean Daniel, maybe you could answer this, but are there ways around that in the future
Uh,
to make it
yeah,
faster? Haven't we
actually.
talked about that before?
Yeah, this actually, and well, we did the episode with, we were talking about Mike. It was Mike Hearn's article, I think, or maybe it was a different one from Medium.com, because we did three in a row. But it was about payment channels and basically just layers on top. Yeah, this was just 2 or 3 episodes ago. Layers on top of the Bitcoin network that can do micropayments, they can do faster payments, stuff like that. And I do want to say that just the episode from probably, honestly, it could have been yesterday. There's no way it was yesterday. A recent Let's Talk Bitcoin episode was all about payment channels, and I just want to say we beat them to it because we got to it like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So
Nice.
take that.
That means you should
We
listen
love
to
Let's
us.
Talk Bitcoin. Oh yeah, you should. We beat them to it all the time now. We used to lose all the time, but we're getting better. So anyway,
Nice. I'm actually kind of proud.
um, yeah. So anyway, there are ways to make it faster. Was there anything else you were getting at, John?
Yeah, I was. So, I guess I would say they probably a lot of things that they're saying might be true, or at least have an element of truth to them. I don't like how they're kind of making it seem like they're doing this because they actually care. Because it seems pretty like the fact that they're lobbying seems like they're it's just all about market share. It's not really that because they're like, oh well, we're so much safer and faster. It's not. I don't know. It's kind of like the letter makes it seem like they're being like they're caring for other people, but I think it's mostly just a marketing move. But
Oh heck yeah.
Where they say the
I mean,
submission is to develop and help them understand the policy issues around virtual and anonymous currencies.
yeah,
That's all
well,
we're trying to do.
I wanted to. That's a huge important thing. That's what I wanted to talk about next. The last part of their letter says that the reason the fees are so low is because Bitcoin doesn't have to put in all these costs for
Doesn't have
complying
to
with
ask for
laws.
permission. Yeah.
So their costs are way lower. Their operating
oh,
costs are
man.
lower because of compliance.
Yeah,
This is
MasterCard's like, we
huge.
have to follow the rules. Bitcoin doesn't make them make them
No,
illegal.
no. This is well, yeah, no, you're right, but this is huge because we like to trash the Bitcoin Foundation all the time because we don't like compliance. We think it's bad, but it's not just bad because of some idealistic thing that we have where everything should be free and you shouldn't have to comply, but if they start complying, costs are going to go up, and there's basically no difference between using a credit card and using Bitcoin. I think this is a huge thing. It
Oh
made me
yeah.
realize that this whole compliance thing is way more important than I thought it was.
There's actually a bunch of things that I've thought of over the past few minutes. I'll touch on that first. That actually relates to my what you just said about, don't it doesn't matter about all your ideologies and stuff. It's just plain cheaper, easier, and better to not have compliance. And that's what I was telling Tim yesterday about this story that I didn't go into too many details about, but I was just saying, you can argue philosophy, economics, whatever the hell you want about the government, and you can go into all this stuff about good, bad, right, wrong, whatever. But when you realize that they are literally going to kill you just because of some words that they wrote in a book somewhere that you never even read, they are literally willing to kill you because of things that they wrote. They never even told you. I mean, it's publicly available to you, but it's physically impossible to read the entire law in one lifetime. When you realize that, they're willing to take your life because of their own decisions. The philosophy, the economics, none of it matters. It's just like, no, I'm not dealing with that. Sorry. So I mean, that's just kind of a similar thing. Like, you don't have to argue about it. They're just plain going to kill you, or you can try and make yourself safe, and that's what it comes down to. Uh, anyway, that was a little off, a little out there. But another thing, which is also kind of an anecdote, but I was reading yesterday because you were saying, I forget, talking about compliance, and then Bitcoin being, yeah, I guess just the fact that MasterCard doesn't understand Bitcoin. I was reading an article yesterday called like 19 things that you've probably done online that are illegal. And the reason I found this article was because I was trying to figure out if people thought ad block was illegal, ad blocker, which I finally did get that, John. I finally have it for YouTube now, and holy crap, it's awesome. But
See?
yeah, it's huge. I've had one for Pandora for a long time. That's really awesome. I love that. But so so yeah, I saw the ad block story, whatever. But then one of the things listed there was Bitcoin, and it's like Bitcoin is not legal. They never. It's not legal tender. They never said that it's illegal, but everything you can only basically what they said is you can only buy illegal stuff with Bitcoin. That they said that in this article. I'm like, what the heck?
Well, maybe if you're not paying tax on something that you're supposed to be paying tax on, that makes it illegal, no matter what it is. But
It's
if you buy
possible,
something
but
from
no.
Overstock, it's not illegal. I'm sure.
Right, exactly. And I mean, I honestly, this article had. I have trouble thinking that this guy. Okay, so he's not an idiot. I think he was just trying to pull out kind of the absurdities. Like, I think he was intentionally trying to make things look worse than they were, just as a way of showing how things are confusing and they don't make sense. One of the things was just using a uh, pseudonym, like like an Xbox Live name. If you're using a fake name online, apparently that's illegal according to some
Technically.
freaking Computer Act of 1983 or something.
So all those fake email accounts I made for Bob Smith.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah. So anyway, that was a pretty interesting article. It was poorly written, to be honest, but it was interesting to just see what he was saying and why he was saying and stuff. So anyway, how did we get on this? MasterCard and stuff. Uh, cool. Anything
We were
else on
talking about
MasterCard?
compliance. That's how you
Yeah,
started.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, what were they saying, or what were they saying about compliance? Oh, the whole expense thing, and
Well, yeah,
yep.
just to clear up one thing, you said something, I don't know, you might have just said it in passing. You said that they didn't understand Bitcoin. I don't know if it's necessarily that. I feel like they probably understand it a lot, and maybe that's why they even bring up the compliance thing, because usually you don't hear people who are trash talking Bitcoin bring that up, even though it's a good point, that the reason it's cheaper is because there is no provision for compliance. And I'm surprised that more people don't bring that up, because I think they're right, and that's why it's important that we shouldn't like start giving up stuff and start trying to comply, because it's going to make it less valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. That's I mean, this is another thing that you could argue morally about as much as you want, but when it comes down to money, it's like when things are cheaper, that's pretty much better for everyone. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's a much bigger topic than I should probably be talking about price theory. Anyway, cool. Well, was there anything else on the mass? Did they say anything else absurd, Tim? Uh, any other thoughts? Should we move on?
Um, no, I think we can move on. If you guys don't have another one, I have another one about.
I have one.
Oh man, they got to duke it out now.
I mean, I think Tim's showed. I've only had one, but it took
It's
up
my
like half
turn.
the episode.
Yeah, you took the entire time.
No, you just did one. It's my turn if we're doing turns. If you want to talk about percentages,
Daniel's turn.
if you want to talk about percentages,
No.
maybe you should have a go now. But if we're doing turns, does Daniel have anything?
Not exactly. Like I said, I woke up way too late this morning. But I will, once more plug in here. UMeandBTC.com/live. Watch us, listen, send us a tweet. We're up for any thoughts or comments. I do have one message from Robert Janito. He was saying that MasterCard must be so pissed that they were interrupted, and that's really what this comes down to. Is Bitcoin threatens MasterCard like no other. Honestly, I mean, that's all. That's really all it's about. Is MasterCard is threatened? I think so.
Yeah, that's why I said I feel like they actually do understand it very well, and that's why they're doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, if you have thoughts or comments, send us a tweet at UMeandBTC #YMBLive, and you can vote in our poll at umeandbtc.com/live. We're just talking about how long might Bitcoin remain relatively stable. It's kind of anybody's guess, but it's fun to just see what people say, and if you have your own response, you can fill in whatever you like. And we'd love to do that. So, cool. Get over there and participate, and I will let John take it away.
All right. So I think this one will not take up a large amount of time. I can't
That's
say
what you
that
said
anymore.
last time.
Yeah, maybe a little bit more sure about this one. This is a CoinDesk article. It's a report on who really uses Bitcoin. And I guess it's a report that CoinDesk themselves did. Yeah, and it's basically just a breakdown of the demographics. And there's some interesting things that I guess I would like to talk about regarding this. So I'll go through real quick. The first, it's mostly graphs. Well, not, yeah, they have a lot of graphs in here, a couple. So the first one is how old are Bitcoin users? 39.4% is in the 25 to 34 age range. 21.99% is 35 to 44, and the rest is kind of spread out a little bit. So mainly, like 20 to 40 years old. That's where basically everyone is. That's not really a huge surprise to me, because people younger than that aren't really maybe not using a whole lot of their own money, and people older than that are old and don't know how to use computers. I'm gonna be ageist. The last graph they have, I'm going to the last one because the middle one I think is the one I want to talk about. I'm being selfish here, but the last one is just a location survey. 49.85% is in North America. Again, not really a surprise. And 32.99% is in Europe. So really, between America and Europe, you have over 80% of people using Bitcoin are there. And they said it's around 90% is male. That kind of sucks, I guess, especially because we have all the like women in Bitcoin things and stuff. And
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
the-
it's wow, Tim.
Sorry.
It's a tough thing to talk about because you're gonna offend everybody. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it'd be great to have more women. I mean, some of these movements are a little overblown, maybe, but that doesn't mean. I mean, we'll take women all the time. I mean, it's
Yeah, I want more women in
we
Bitcoin.
want everybody, honestly, everybody. So, and I think technically there's more women than men in the world. So I guess if we want everybody, then that means yeah, I guess we do want more women than men a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, if you want a group to reach some kind of critical mass, I feel like its breakdown should match real world breakdowns. So I'd say that's probably true. But the
Yeah,
last graph.
I mean,
Okay, go
that's
for it.
not to say that that's not to say that there aren't reasons for it. I mean, it's just the way things are. Men are into technical things sometimes more than women. Not
Yeah,
always, but that's just the way it turns out. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but yeah, like we said, over time we'd love it to balance out.
yeah. The last graph though that I think is most interesting is the household income of Bitcoin users.
Oh
And
man.
yeah, I think this is actually really interesting. So the highest percentage of Bitcoin users falls into the $50,000 to $99,999 income, and that's so I just looked, and according to Wikipedia, the household income average in the U.S. is $51,939. So this is pretty
Okay.
much the average income is the largest percentage, average to above average, I
Right.
guess,
So
because
so
it's
wait, what was
50,000 to
it?
100,000. That's
That was
23.9%, which that's the largest group is 23.9%. So even though that's
okay.
the majority,
Okay. Yeah.
that's not a large majority. Now, what I think is really interesting is that above that, from the $100,000 and up, there's only about 22% of users. So about 80% is like average or below.
Wait, I thought you said the largest section was 50 to 100, and I thought
Yeah,
that was like 23%.
yeah. No, the two above it is broken down into two categories. So it's 100,000 to 200,000 is 15%, and then 200,000 or more is 6.4%. So like
Okay.
80% is below 100,000.
100,000. Okay. Okay. Interesting.
And I think that's a good thing because, well, this anecdotally, this is kind of weird, a weird thing that I've noticed, and I guess I'll start by saying that you can't really judge people by their cars, but I look at people's bumper stickers as most people probably do, and like I've noticed that a lot of people who have Ron Paul bumper stickers, not that you can also make judgments about people based on that, but I assume that those people are more libertarian bent. I've seen a lot of people with Ron Paul license plate or bumper stickers who also have cheap cars. Now maybe they just have a cheap car because they're trying to save money and they're not poor. But I actually really like the fact that it's average or below people who are using Bitcoin, and it's people with cheap cars who have Ron Paul bumper stickers, because there's such like a thing, I guess, with mostly with like left wing people that, oh, all these people, they're just rich white people who want to screw over poor people for more money. And I
Right.
like to see that it's average people or people who are below average incomes that are actually getting into Bitcoin and stuff like this because they think it will help them. I'm assuming they think it will help them if they're using it.
Right. No, I think I agree. It's not like I mean I don't like the anti-rich mindset. If you want to get rich, go for it. I mean I have nothing against rich people, but I agree with you that it sends a good message to see that just the average Joes are out there using Bitcoin. So
Oh yeah, no, I'm definitely not anti-rich, and that's maybe even why I'm saying this,
right.
because it's the people who are trying to get more money who are the ones using this kind of stuff. It's not the people who are already rich and they're just trying to screw everybody else over. Those people are still using dollars because only 6.4% of Bitcoin users make more than $200,000 a year.
Right, right. What what all was in this report? Does it say, like, because I, like we said, we were trying to figure out earlier what the percentage of, like, Americans that use Bitcoin? Are there any, like, or around, like, the percentage of people around the globe? Are there any stats like that of just, like, how far is Bitcoin adoption?
Uh, I didn't see anything like that in there. Like I said,
Okay.
I think it's mostly just a survey of people who already use Bitcoin. I don't think it's,
Okay. No, yeah, that's no
yeah.
problem, but it's just interesting facts that we might want to find out eventually, but
Yeah, I think the reason they're keeping tabs on this is because the stereotype of Bitcoin users is like what at the beginning of the article they say young, pale, techie, and male. This has been the makeup of Bitcoin's core community since it began, and people have used that to discredit it. I think, which is really like a fallacious argument to begin with.
Why people like it.
But basically, what they're saying is that um, it's good to see. Well, it's also that like well-off people are using it. So I think that's why the income thing is important because it's the main bulk of it is people who have an average income or less. That's
yeah.
I think that's
Uh, I wonder, maybe you already explained this and I didn't follow perfectly, but I wonder, you're saying about for for 1 to 200,000, it's like 16%, right? And for below
yeah, yeah,
100,000, it's like 80%.
yeah.
I wonder, does that match the real world breakdown? And I know you said you looked something up, and I'm not sure if it's the
Well,
same thing.
what?
Like, because if, like, we're saying 80% of Bitcoin users are under 100,000. Well, what if 90% of people are under 100,000? Then maybe that would be a little skewed, because then actually more richer people are using it than poorer people. I mean, those are like the most general terms ever.
I
So they,
mean,
honestly, I don't know if this means anything, but
a little skewed if you're comparing it to things, but the difference between 80% and 90% is a lot less than 51% people are women and 90% of Bitcoin users
yeah,
are male. I mean,
yeah,
that's like a
that's
huge skew.
absolutely true.
And the thing about this is that like the largest group is only 23.9%. So and they only have 6 brackets of income. So
Okay.
even if you look at everything, the breakdown is a lot more even between all of the income brackets. I mean, like the lowest is the 200,000 or more, and that's 6.4%. The next lowest, oh wait, this is prefer not to disclose. I didn't factor that in, but those people are 10%. So even if we gave all those people to the 200,000 or more, that's still only like 17%,
Yeah.
which would still be lower than that. That would put that that I guess that would be then like 60 to 70% would be below average income or below 100,000. Even if you did that. So even if we put all the prefer not to disclose, which is probably not true, into the 200,000 or more, it's still the majority of people are below 100,000.
Yeah, and actually we can connect this with Todd Kantor's story. You just had him, and I did think of this when he was talking. I mean, obviously the kids that are running around stealing it, that's pretty dumb. But the fact that kids out there know about it, the kids are into it, trying to use it, that the kids recognize that it has value and stuff. That's a similar thing. I mean, I'm sure a lot of those people out there, because I think he said it was in Brooklyn, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there's some pretty poor areas around there, and it's good to see that they're finding uses for it, and or at least trying to, and that they know it exists, and putting it to work. So that's pretty interesting, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Cool.
like I was saying, even like this breakdown is pretty even. Like there's 23%, 21%, 21%, 10%, 15%, 6.4% in all six of the things. So like no matter which one has the highest, the breakdown isn't that dramatic.
Definitely.
Which is good, I think.
Yep. I completely agree. I think we have time for one more. Tim, I guess Tim's going to get the last word. Sorry, John.
What about this?
Screw you.
No. Well, I mean, if you have
that
any
kind of language on this podcast.
What?
This kind of language.
But I meant, Tim, if you have if you have another article or thoughts on this, whatever you like, it's all you. I mean, I woke up too late to have anything to say.
I was pretty much done. What?
You're done? I thought you said you had like 7.
Yeah, I mean, I have another article. I thought you meant like on that specifically. Okay.
Yeah, cool. No, that's fine.
Yeah, you know Reason magazine?
Yeah.
Okay. Apparently, after they put out an article about Ulbricht's sentencing, there were some comments on there, stuff like, well, you should go fuck it, like, this judge is, I don't know, it's just comments that you see all the time on the internet where it's like, I hope this person dies, and I hope you go to hell, I hope you burn in hell, and me personally, I hope you suck on a fucking shotgun, you cunt, but,
Wow, you're criticizing my language.
Yeah, exactly. But, yeah, they made comments like that, or it's judges like these that should be taken out back and shot. And these are and there was a subpoena made to Reason trying to find like the people who made these comments. And it's just like you can't run the website.
Wow.
And you also can't defend it either. I mean, I get they weren't just defending it, but it's like that stuff is on the internet all the time. You don't have to do anything. You just make up a YouTube video and people tell you to go kill yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Are you saying that the government was asking Reason for the information, or that Reason wanted the information?
No, Reason didn't want the information. There was some asshole a blogger who was like, oh my goodness, we need this. Oh. Okay, look. Back in the fall. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Subpoenaing the real threats aren't coming from the likes of Agumon, that's one of the guys who made comments. They're coming from civil servants in suits, subpoenaing Reason's website records, wasting his staff time, forcing it to pay legal fees.
Yeah.
I think
Seriously.
It was some kind of a blogger who saw it and then thought it was Los Angeles legal blogger Tim White has obtained a grand jury subpoena issued to Reason.com, the online home of Libertarian magazine. I don't know who sent out the subpoena, though.
I mean, it's the government. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they'll do. That's because you're exactly right, Tim. It's everybody knows that YouTube comments are destined to flame wars no matter what. It's the fucking internet, right? So, but as soon as one of their agents is threatened, we got to take care of those guys. We can't have that.
No,
Which is exactly what the trial was about. They're like, oh, you don't like the government? Well, we got to take care of you then.
Yeah.
I think they
Did you read his
that,
letter to her?
honestly.
Did you read
His
the letter
letter
that
to
he
her?
wrote? Yeah, Ross wrote a letter. In it he expressed a
Before or after the sentencing?
I believe before.
Okay.
But okay, I'll just read it. I created Silk Road because I thought the idea for a website itself had value and that bringing Silk Road into being was the right thing to do. I believed at the time that people should have the right to buy and sell whatever they wanted so long as they weren't hurting anyone else. However, I've learned since then that taking immediate action on one's beliefs without taking the necessary time to really think them through can have disastrous consequences. Silk Road turned out to be a very naive and costly idea that I deeply regret. Silk Road was supposed to be about giving people the freedom to make their own choices, to pursue their own happiness, however they individually saw fit. What it turned into was in part a convenient way for people to satisfy their drug addictions. I do not and never have advocated the abuse of drugs. I learned from Silk Road that when you give people freedom, you don't know what they'll do with it. And it goes on for a little bit where he's talking about like how he feels bad about causing people to go into their addictions, and he would have been more mature. And then her response to this Judge Forrest, and that it was after she made the really heavy sentence, said, in a world, she's addressing Ulbricht's political views, in a world you created over time, democracy didn't exist. Silk Road's birth and presence asserted that its creator was better than the laws of this country. This is deeply troubling, terribly misguided, and very dangerous, because I am the law.
Yeah, exactly. That's I know I did read that, and that's more or less what I was referring to when I said that they said that they're taking care of him because he's a threat to the government. They pretty much just said that, and that's bullcrap. I mean, you can't. America. Well, yeah, we don't have to go down all this, but part of the reason America exists is because we rebelled against the government, and now it's just all the way backwards.
Don't you dare try it with us. I mean, we've been doing the same thing
Yeah.
since the Whiskey Rebellion, which was like less than 20 years after the Constitution.
Wait, you don't want to pay? You don't want to listen to us?
Yeah, I mean,
What do you mean you don't like taxes? We've advocated them
Taxes
the whole
are
time.
American, Daniel. You pay your taxes. It's God's
Yeah.
way of building
was
up America.
1790s or something.
Yeah.
Isn't that what the Whiskey Rebellion was? It's the same.
America was built
Wait,
on
can you
freedom.
remind me of how did we get on this? What was the original thing?
the comments and the subpoena for
Oh, yeah,
threatening
yeah.
comments.
Yeah, so what did that have to do with Ross Ulbricht?
It was
It was
on the
on-
article about him. And because we
Okay.
just always go back to talking about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The threatening comments were against the judge, the
Okay.
judge that sentenced him.
Okay. Yeah,
They're
yeah.
not even threatening. They're just like, this is the kind of judge that, I mean, yeah, it's threatening. Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly,
well,
exactly.
And then someone said wood chippers would work better if you put her in feet first.
Yeah. Well, like you guys are saying, first of all, it's just stupid in general. Like,
You're an adult,
I was watching
you
something
realize
where,
that
like-
people don't actually do this.
I mean, have you guys heard of Anita Sarkeesian? She's like
I
this
don't believe so.
feminist public speaker who's people trash talk her a lot, I guess, because of things that have happened in the past. I don't know about all of it, but basically, I know one thing was that, like, she was supposed to speak at some college, and I guess she got some death threat over the internet, and people were criticizing her for not speaking based on this threat. And then she's like, "How dare you say that I should put my life in danger to do this?" And he's like, "Dude, I make YouTube videos. People tell me to die every single freaking day. Like, it's the
No
internet."
reason.
But even if they actually wanted to kill this person and the threat was legitimate and it wasn't just the internet, isn't that like the First Amendment? Freedom of speech, you're allowed to say stuff like that. It's when you actually do it that
That's
they
not
have
true,
the
though.
right.
Like, the way they
I'm not-
that was not true.
What?
I mean,
Yeah,
the way
I
they
mean-
apply that, because you don't get away normally with threatening stuff like that. Like, even if
Right,
it's
right.
it doesn't have to be.
Well, isn't it like with intent or something?
That's what they said was about how, like they don't give like a time. Like, if you said I'm going to kill blah 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 on, I don't know why I said blah blah blah, on June 12th at 3 p.m. with a wood chipper feet first because you made a bad decision, then that's a little bit worse than just kind of making a basic just attack
Yeah.
against someone.
Yeah, I agree that people should have free speech for whatever the heck they want, but I'm not sure that's how the law interprets it. I
Oh,
would
yeah.
imagine most of the time.
No, I don't believe that. I guess what I'm saying is just like at this point, people talking out of both sides of their mouth should be so obvious with things like
Yeah.
this, but people still don't realize what's going on. Like, they still don't see it as them just saying one thing and doing another.
Well, this is the perfect time to talk about YouTube comments because we're about to wrap up, and this is a YouTube video.
We need some YouTube comments. Tell us to kill ourselves.
Please leave all the threatening comments you like. We'll
Yeah.
take them like men.
I love trolls.
And,
I
That's true.
will embrace any troll comments.
Yeah, we welcome free speech. I mean, you don't really have free speech on YouTube because it's their servers and Google is overlord of YouTube. So you don't really have free speech. But as far as we're concerned, you can say whatever you want, and if they let it sit there, then cool, they'll let it go. So, and if it's a threat with intent, I guess thanks for the warning.
Yeah,
thank you. Yeah, you're an idiot too.
The judge should be thanking you, not subpoenaing them.
So I better watch out.
Now I can plan for this. I can make sure to bring my machete.
She's just not thinking correctly.
Oh man, yeah. So now she knows if she sees a wood chipper like slowly coming towards her, it's probably wrong or something.
Or jump in. I don't fucking care. Jump in. You probably jump in.
Or at least jump in head first so it's quicker if she
jump
can.
in feet first.
That's gotta be the hardest way
to test it. Like you tested the water, like test it a little bit, feel how it feels, and then go in because I want you to feel all the pain, just because you're an asshole.
A wood chipper's got to be the hardest way to actually pull off an assassination. Like, it's so conspicuous.
When you just sit there, it's so loud, and you run behind and push someone in.
And the cleanup, it's just gonna.
There'll be evidence everywhere.
The cleanup is gonna be ridiculous. If this guy manages to pull it off, I'm actually like impressed. And get away with it, like not get caught. That would be pretty impressive.
Oh man. Well, everybody, it was a huge blast. I gotta say thanks for joining us. We're past the 3 o'clock hour. So, we're gonna wrap things up. Anything that we need to share? We had an impromptu guest, our first guest on the live show. On our live show reboot. Well, no, I guess we had guests for our virtual Bitcoin meetup, but not for our previous live series.
Yeah.
So
he set the bar pretty high.
Yeah, you guys have to make up for owning victims.
Awesome guy, clearly he knows what he's talking about because he's been threatened literally, not over the internet. He
didn't seem that bothered. He pulled this a lot better, did a lot better than this than the judge did.
Absolutely. Come back next week, next Wednesday. Who knows if we'll have a guest. We might. Tune in tomorrow for our regular recorded podcast and interview with Anthem Hayek Blanchard, the creator of Hayek Gold. Thanks for being here, everybody. We will catch you next week. Peace.